I'm Ryan Callahan, and you're watching Nasty Knuckles.
You're listening to Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Sotomayor and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer, Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. Time to face off.
All right, welcome back. What's happening, Nasty?
What's up, Riggs?
How you doing?
I'm okay, but I'm a little worried about you.
Yeah?
With the shady aftermath of yesterday's tooth extraction.
Oh, my gosh.
A little bit
that
of pain?
was painful. My God. My God, that was painful.
You're such a primal man. I don't understand how you could be in pain.
Well, pain is part of life's experience. I didn't wish there was that much pain, but when you extract a tooth,
Baller, you missed the urinal. Baller wasn't here. He's telling me about he had a tooth taken out yesterday, and he's like, the aftermath of it was ridiculous. And I'm like, the shady aftermath?
Oh, shady. Slim.
He said he's never been in so much pain.
Oh, God, yeah, so.
That sucks, though.
Yeah, but good to go now.
You're good now?
We're here.
A little mushy?
Yeah, it was necessary.
A little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah. A little THC, a little CBD, a little sprinkle of...
You have to sometimes.
Oh, God, man.
No, that does suck,
Pain management game was on point yesterday.
That's brutal.
We're good now, so
good
here we
now,
are.
Baby. Fuck, we got a long day today, Riggs.
Oh,
Keep
yeah,
you in the
back to
stew
backs.
all day. Shooting two today. But I know we've been texting during the games and everything, like, you know, even late. Like, Baller is fucking crazy. But Florida advances. You know how hard it is to make it to the finals 2 years in a row? Like,
tough.
it's a grind. But they did it to beat the Rangers. I don't know who you had. I can't remember. Backballer would have to probably tell us who you
I can't remember,
picked
but
in
I think I had Florida.
You're going to say Florida for sure. No, but they just kind of, you see how dominant of a team they are, and the way they're built, man. To get back this year and to beat that Rangers team, the President's Trophy winner, which I always say is a fucking, you don't want to win that. You don't want to win it. But they shut the Rangers down. The big boys, they shut them all down. Bob looks, knock wood for him, he's playing unbelievable right now. I can't think of a bad goal. You know, bad goals happen, you know, with goalies, but, you know, he's got his goals against is like 2.2. Save percentage is above 900, is 0.908, I think. But he just, it's hard to not be confident with him back there.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And other big boys, Tkachuk, Barkov, Verhaeghe, all you go down the list. The scoring's coming from everyone, basically. And the Rangers didn't get that in that series. Baller, what was that stat you gave me? Panarin went 8 games.
Without a goal, right?
Yeah, like going back to the Carolina series, he finally did get one in Game 6.
Yeah.
You know, made the game 2-1. But man, Shesterkin with a .927 save percentage, dude. He did everything.
Need a little help there.
I mean, he did everything he could 5-on-5. But Baller and I were talking about it. Just Rangers 5-on-5, they didn't exist.
That's right.
Like you know, like zero scoring, hardly at all. So, but it was a good series to watch. What was your take on it with the Panthers there?
I mean, the Panthers are just set up top to bottom. You know, they play that physical brand of hockey. Their best players are the best players.
Yeah.
Their goaltending is rock solid all the way through the back end. I mean, I really like the way that team's set up, and obviously there's no coincidence that they're there back-to-back years.
Right.
They obviously have something there. They got some chemistry, and they're feeling it, right? So I'm not surprised that they beat the Rangers, and the Rangers just needed more from their big guns. Yeah, so
I want to talk quickly just about Paul Maurice, man.
Yeah.
Like he makes it look not stressful when it has to be so stressful, obviously, to be a coach. You know that. But, man, like he's got these guys, they look like they love to play for him.
Yeah,
obviously.
seems like it.
You get there 2 years in a row. It's not by accident. You got to give him a little bit of credit. Obviously, the players are playing the game, but the guys, they seem to love him.
Yeah.
And he's good for a good little soundbite.
Yeah,
almost
I know.
every day.
The playoffs have been good for his sound bites.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that maybe last week or the week before.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, he is really carrying himself well. I think he's always been like, at least the way he appears through the media, like pretty mild-mannered, you know, well-spoken, soft. And he's doing it, and he's maintaining that composure, laughing, keeping it light, which I think is hard to do probably for a lot of those coaches because they're just wound so tight. But, you know, good for him. He's obviously doing something right, and he's got the buy-in of the boys. So
yeah, he does for sure. Baller, you were saying something about Barkov. There's a stat like, was it everyone he played against? What was it? Sorry.
Yeah, so in the first round against Tampa, Barkov went against Kucherov. 27 minutes in the entire series, Kuch scored 0 goals. Round 2, Pasta only had 1 goal in 35 minutes of ice time against Barkov. And in the last round against the Rangers, Panarin 0 goals against Barkov, 23 minutes of ice in the series.
wow.
It's pretty impressive, man. This guy,
Serious
and
numbers.
I think what we talked about. We may have like said a quote from him, said a quote from Paul Maurice about he didn't really care about the matchups because he felt like, you know, his best players could play against their best players. But Barkov, man, like it'll be very interesting to see in these finals.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when they're in Florida, they're probably going to match Barkov up with McDavid, right? Like.
I would think so.
You have to.
Right.
You don't have to, but I think that's the guy shutting every big-time star down.
Such big wingspan and the body size, and obviously
big body.
Yeah.
Do you guys think he's going to be able to do it?
Wow. I mean,
do it to the best of his abilities, but you know, McDavid, which we'll talk about in a second, you just can go 50 different ways and this amount of time.
Yeah, he just pulls shit out of his hat.
I think you have to keep them off the power play.
Well,
obviously,
100%.
that's the biggest thing, and you got to stay out of the box against this team. But I mean, if anyone's could do it, Barkov's obviously proven that you know he's going to do his best anyway. But I mean, I think he can shut them down. Like, can you shut them down, Draisaitl and McDavid? Like, it's the power play is crazy. Like, we can talk about that in a minute, but 5-on-5, like. I kind of like Florida's game. They're just big and heavy, and
that gritty style of play.
Yeah, they just you know, I don't know.
Get in there.
I think he can, but in saying that, it is McJesus. I mean,
he just seemed. The thing is like you could be on him 99% of the game, and you give him one shift with a fraction of a split second, and he will create something out of that. So it's. Yeah, it's a tall task for sure, but I mean, again, I think out of all guys, Barkov is the guy that needs to play against him. But we'll see.
We'll see. Moving on, you've got a Canadian team in the final.
Wow,
Rick. Western team, pretty far.
Canadians
far
are buzzing.
away, eh?
I know.
Florida, Edmonton for the finals. I think it would be further if it was.
Then.
Yeah, it would be further.
But
still, it's pretty damn far.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot of travel. Edmonton, can't say enough about Kris Knoblauch. He's pushed all the right buttons, man, and he's made some pretty hard decisions, Riggs. Pulling Corey Perry out, guy's been in the finals like a lot, especially in the last 5 years. Like Christ, I think the guy's gone to the finals almost every year.
That's right.
But like pulling guys out, putting them back in, putting them in the right spot, even going back to putting Cal Pickard in for 2 games, just to give get Skinner right, and it seemed to work. And Baller had a great point. Their team defense seemed to get better when they put Pick in from then on, even with Skinner. And we talked about it the other night during the game. We were messaging each other, talking about how they're moving in a 5-man unit.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all back. Everyone's getting
back. They're all buying into it.
And everything's, not to take anything away from Skinner, but like everything's kind of coming from the outside. Like I know he's had to make some big saves, but he looked really shaky in game 5 Baller where they went down 2-0 in Edmonton, and he looked really shaky and like he was really fighting the puck. And you got to give him credit because he found a way to win that game, and he bounced back second, third period and looked sharper.
Yeah,
but I can't give Kris Knoblauch enough credit.
Yeah.
Obviously, the players are out there getting the job done. Paul Coffey on the D, and Stewart's running their penalty kill, which we were just talking about that as well. 28 consecutive kills.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's crazy. It's not quite the record yet, but
yeah, it's got to be close.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, that is tough to do.
Right.
I mean, you got to be dialed in.
Yeah. I mean, their power play is kicking.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, their penalty kill is unbelievable. And we were talking about, like, the speed of Edmonton, but the odd man rushes. I saw a crazy stat with Dallas. They had the odd man rushes were 13-1.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
It's crazy. And then rush chances were 7-6. But then the shots with the rush on net were 6-0. So I don't know. They're just playing a style right now. Knobber's got them going.
Oh yeah.
And you got to give the
High
players
speed.
credit too, because they've bought in. Obviously, they bought in right away when he got there. But this will be. I know it's huge for Canada, right? Like,
they're
and I've
buzzing.
been watching everybody talk about that building. I can only imagine, because even when they were bad for years, it was sold out. When we were in the old building, going in there, and they were tough years for Edmonton for a long time.
That's right.
But gotta give them credit, man. They're back.
They're back, yeah. And like you said, they have bought into the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, between Knoblauch and Coffey, arguably one of the best top 3 offensive defensemen, and be
Yeah.
able to squeeze this type of defense out of the defenseman is huge. Obviously, the offensive stuff is the easy part almost, right? For some of these guys jumping up in the play and playing offense, it's really tightening up on the defense, and whether there was any psychology involved around Pick coming in or Skinner maybe struggling there, but the team rallied around the situation itself, and I mean they keep proving to be a great team. You know, more and more every game, and the chemistry is there. Obviously, the belief in themselves. And they got a country rallying behind them. It's gonna be interesting, man. I was taking Florida all the way. If they would have been Dallas and Florida, easy,
You were going Florida?
easy Florida. But I mean,
So what are you saying?
What am I saying? I actually did a pod last night and I made a prediction: Florida in 6. But
You just said what you think Edmonton's gonna win.
well,
You just gotta switch up to your 50%. So all these people it doesn't work that way, bro.
Well, what I said was a lot of times I get emotions involved in some of these picks because it's a Canadian team, and I love Connor
emotions.
McDavid.
Yeah.
You know, there's just some things I want to see happen, but
Yeah.
I also am trying to be realistic with how I feel around the Florida Panthers team. I just like the way they're set up. Like, there's a tough, hard team to play against.
They are.
But so is Oilers. So I mean, I'm going Florida in 6. Bold. What do you got?
You're not going with Edmonton. You're from out west.
Well, again,
I know.
it's not just based on the country.
Yeah.
I do want them to win, but I'm going Florida in 6.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think it's gonna go 6 to 7 games either way.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Got to stay out of the box for Florida.
Oh, you got to stay out of the box.
Stay. And one other quick thing about this series coming up. I can't wait to watch the Worm, Corey Perry, get in there and get under guys' skin, and then Evander Kane if healthy, him and Kachuk.
Oh yeah,
going at it, because that's these two. They love each other.
There's gonna be some
No, I'm kidding.
chest
But
pumps.
yeah, it should be really entertaining. I thought Dallas quickly got away from all physicality.
Yeah.
Basically, with I mean, I guess they don't have a ton of guys, but like Jamie Benn, he was
still pushing back.
He
there at
was
the end.
big time, and Baller. I was messaging Baller was not great because it's sad, but like Ben didn't even get out of his gear.
I saw that. Yeah,
It was crazy.
It was
but you know
sad.
that feeling, like losing, like that's a conference final. You lost in a finals. Like it's so hard to get there, man. It's so hard, and I think, people just don't understand sometimes, like how fucking difficult it is to make it there, and only one team wins. We haven't had one here in 50 years or whatever.
I know.
But it's it's not easy, man. And we've been to the finals. A bunch of the Flyers, when I say we, the Flyers. But anyway, it should be a really good finals.
Oh, yeah.
It should be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
High energy.
Yeah,
sure.
high energy. You may even have some. You might be
I
fired
might be
up.
able to extract some from
You
it.
might be able to stay up. Late.
This is it.
I know. It's the last few games of the year, bud.
Hey, hockey heads, get ready for the Daily Face-Off Playoff Parlay Challenge. Each game day, answer 4 questions. Picking the winning team, guess if points will be over or under, predict the first goal, and choose the highest scoring period. Daily winners snag gift cards, while each round's champs pocket cash. Play now at games.dailyfaceoff.com and prove your puck prowess. It's fast, it's fun, and it's all about hockey. Let's go.
My buddy Joe Pavelski basically said he's shutting it down. We don't know. It's not 100%, but I hate that. I was hoping he would do a tour, next year playing, because I know like numbers kind of went down a little bit near the end, but he would end up with 27 goals, baller.
Yeah, still had over
65
points, 67
Like, I don't know, 1,332 games in the NHL.
It's a lot.
476 goals, almost 600 assists to go along with that. Just a class act.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to work with him at the Olympics way back in 2010, and then stayed buddies with him, the whole time. And he's just hate to see a guy like we talk about hand-eye coordination, man.
Yeah,
In front of that net.
He's a high-level player for sure.
Yeah, very, very, and pretty durable too.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
looking at his numbers there with. Like the last 3 years he played all 82 games, or maybe the last 2 years.
Last 3. He played all 82 games each season, and then there was 6 other seasons in his.
He played every game,
which is like nearly
That's hard to do.
impossible to do.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always like a little bump and a bruise to put you out.
Right,
and then there was
right.
a couple other seasons he had 81 games and 80
Yep.
games. So he's he competes and plays the game hard, and obviously
plays bigger than he is too. Like,
but that's impressive. So
Yeah.
I mean, wish him the best if
Yeah, me too.
if it's for real. But it sounds like that's what's happening.
Love Pav, great guy, man. Eric Tulsky was named the interim GM of the Carolina Hurricanes. Very analytic based guy, I guess. Baller. He's from the area. And he's going in there, went to Harvard.
Oh,
Elliot Friedman actually tweeted, or was on his podcast, that he heard Chuck Fletcher's name was rumored to be in there. Well, if you're a Flyers fan, you hope he gets it, because you don't have to worry about the Hurricanes being any good after that. Sorry. No, but it's true. Yeah, like, why in the world would you do that to yourself? But, they both went to Harvard.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe,
if that's the
maybe
connection,
they're going to work
then
together. But we'll see. It was because Don Waddell stepped down from Carolina, but then 4 days later he's in Columbus as the new GM. Is he president of hockey operations? Yeah. Provy was Ivan Provorov was here the other day. We were talking about it. He's like, didn't see that one coming.
No, is that just is that a lateral move, or is that?
Well, what someone told me from Carolina was that the owner's just got his hand. It's just all
It's
him
too much.
doing, and
She just wanted to disappear and go somewhere fresh.
Just go
and
somewhere where you
have
can
some
actually
freedom.
do your job.
Yeah, well, that's
which the GM should be allowed to do his job.
of course, yeah. That's a tough work environment.
Yeah.
If you're getting squeezed like that, but well, good for him.
Yeah,
And then whoever lands up in Carolina.
yeah. Whoever ends up there, good luck. You got Rod Brendamore. That's the biggest thing. You got him signed. So I think that's really what you need there. Scotty Arniel, your favorite player growing up as a kid.
Yeah, ironically.
And you don't know a thing about him.
Don't know much about him. He wore number 11 for the Winnipeg Jets.
And you were it a long time.
Well, that was why I wore number 11. It wasn't because of Mess. It was because of Scott Arniel.
But tell the story.
Well, I'll tell the story.
No.
Season ticket holder for the Winnipeg Jets, 6 or 7 years old, win a Scott Arniel jersey, number 11. Rocked the thing, slept with the thing. Wore number 11.
Really?
Oh yeah, this thing. I still got it.
Right. You should have worn
Number
it today.
11.
Probably still
I
fake.
know.
You're so lean
Probably,
now.
yeah, right. So 6 years old. Wore number 11 my whole youth hockey career, junior hockey career, and then when I turned pro, I actually landed up switching numbers. It was probably because there was no 11 available, because I was a plug and I was just taking the number that was given to me. But yeah, 11. Scott
You would've
Arniel.
told me I would have got you 11.
Oh god. He gave it to John
Who
Sim.
was ever, No, well, with the Flyers.
Oh,
it
the
was
Flyers.
11. I don't remember who was 11 when you were there, but
There's nobody there.
I don't
I
even
guess.
think there was,
No,
actually.
but I was over at
remember,
that point because I was.
No, what was Betsy?
Yeah, Betsy. Well,
Betsy
he
was
came in
11.
after though.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but he's been coaching for a long time. The Moose, Columbus, assistant coach with the Jets, and then finally back in the NHL. So,
Well, you had our buddy Kami had a quote.
oh, just a nice soft quote for
Yeah, why don't
for
you
all those
read that
hockey
quote?
fans out there. So he's not holding back here. He played for him in Columbus.
Yes.
So Kami says, massive mistake by the Jets. Scott Arniel is a loser. He's been a loser his entire career. Got a chance years ago. His arrogance ruined everything. He spent the last 14 years with his nose up assholes and his lips wrapped around balls.
Like soccer ball? Oh, you mean
Tennis.
Oh, tennis. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow. That's a
no.
tell us how you really feel,
no, not
Kami.
holding back there. We'll always
Kami.
appreciate his honesty.
Yep.
So I don't know Arniel at all, really. I mean,
Yeah,
just,
I don't either.
I've heard his name in passing, and so I don't know how much of this could be true, but
Kami passed it along.
he passed us along a little message. We delivered.
Wow.
We'll see how that plays out.
We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah,
The Seattle Kraken.
crack.
Dan Bylsma back in the
Yeah,
league.
he's back,
still
yeah.
coaching right now. They're in the semifinals, I believe. Or are they in the semifinals, Bowler? Yeah, they are, because they're out west. Sorry. They're still playing. He's coaching the Kraken's affiliate in Coachella Valley. Mm-hmm. Probably cool.
I'm
spot.
sure.
But he's back.
He's back.
Bylsma.
I didn't, think of him as a
Yeah, I didn't really either,
candidate, but I mean, you forget about some of these guys when they're not.
they all resurface.
Yeah, they do.
You know, like
Go back down to the minors and learn, get reps, and become a better coach, and hopefully.
I mean, he's a
find
Stanley
job.
Cup winning coach.
No, he is. No,
So
for sure.
it's not a shock to me, but I wasn't sure he was. I honestly didn't know he was coaching in the American League,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Well, that's usually the case, but he's back. Congrats,
back, yeah.
congrats to him. Always seemed like a nice guy. Whenever
Yeah, no, he seems
I
like a
ran
respectful
into
guy.
him. He seemed like a really good guy. No Michkov news after I give that rundown. He's just
Confused. You
I think I
confused the listeners.
confused the hockey world
Yeah.
with that one, thanks to Baller. Had some guy chirping me too. Oh, did you see? Like someone was chirping me, like, "Well, he's trying to look smart." I'm like, no, I'm reading. What I said
know.
made no sense.
I think a lot of people didn't even realize it was a joke.
I don't
And it's like there was a lot being said and nothing said.
I'm like, he's like, "You're not that smart," or something. I was like, "Well, obviously you're not either, buddy." So
Yeah,
I
right.
wasn't trying to be smart.
Well, as I'm laughing my ass
Yeah,
off
I know,
here.
right? Like, but it was. I love it. I don't
That was
care.
good,
It
yeah.
was cool. But anyway, Michkov, no news. Is that good news?
I don't know. A lot
Nobody
of
knows.
a lot of times, no news is good news. But
Right.
in this case, I'd like to think that if it was true, you'd hear a little more official rumblings from some credible news source.
Well, I don't
But
think the
maybe
Flyers can really say anything anyway.
I don't think so.
Like we
I don't
talked
think you're
about
gonna hear if there's any truth to it. You're probably not going to hear about it until it actually is fully official.
Yeah,
the speculation stuff. I'm not sure they're going to leak a whole lot anymore. So we'll see.
I agree. Last thing I got for you. Our friend Chris Mayer reported TK is looking for 10 smell. 10 sheets.
10 sheets, not bad.
Not a bad deal if he can get it. What are your thoughts on that? 10 million.
Well, originally thought it was a little high, but I mean he is a high level player, competes, in people's faces. Question maybe his durability for
Well, his size, the way he plays.
that's long term based on the way he plays. He signed a big ticket like that. He's gonna make. It's gonna be close to that.
It's going to be close.
no matter
and
what.
Baller had a great point. It's negotiations.
Right.
So you're going to throw that. I think TK is highly valuable. He almost had 40 goals. Like he hasn't quite reached the 40 goal mark. I get that, but like if you look at guys that are scoring in the 30s, they're making a lot. The cap is going up. But what do you think? Should they give him the extension, or do you trade him because you're in a rebuild?
I think you keep him. You extend. I mean, he's a flyer. I mean,
he is a flyer.
He's a flyer, man. And I would say one of the heart and soul guys in that team. You know, like he brings it every night. Most nights, you know. Obviously, everyone has the off nights, but I mean, he competes.
He's a competitive guy.
He cares.
Yes.
It's hard to find those guys.
Yeah.
You know, gritty guys that can score.
30+
Yeah,
goals.
exactly. So, I mean, I hate to think that you trade him just because you're in a rebuild. But, I mean, who knows? I think anything is possible if the price is right. So, but I see him being re-signed.
Yeah, I do too.
Again, if that's the starting negotiation, maybe 9. I don't know. We'll see. But
I just think the way he plays the game, and like you said, he's a flyer. I would hate to see him get moved. Because if you're moving him, you better get something really good back. And, I mean, I understand he's, like, you look at these other guys that may get more points altogether and stuff like that, but this guy's he's 5'8".
Yeah.
I know he's listed probably 5'10", whatever, but he plays like he's 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's in your face. You know, he hits. He battles. He competes. He'll do anything to win that game.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I like he's a flyer. I hope he stays.
Yeah, me too.
I hope he stays. And you got to give him a little bit more. Yeah, give him a little bit
That's
more.
it.
That's the way it is.
Sprinkle a little gravy on there.
Let's give him a little bit.
There you go.
There you go.
This segment is brought to you by Bet365, a proud partner of Nasty Knuckles. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code HOCKEYCA, all caps. Nas, you got your app open over there?
Got my Bet365 app up and ready to go. And you know what I love about this? It's easy to navigate.
Ooh.
And you know I have troubles.
You have a lot of troubles.
Once in a while. Not on this app. I'm going to the Conn Smythe winner.
Oh.
I'm going to pick because I think Florida's going to win. I really do. And I think if they do, it's going to be because of the way Bob plays. So I'm going to go with Bob at a plus 400.
Wow.
To win the Conn Smythe. I really think.
I like your pick.
Thank you.
Strong one.
What are you doing? I think you're doing something for game 1.
I am doing something for game 1. Well, I do have Florida winning in 6.
Yep.
I do think Edmonton's coming in hot. Game 1.
They are.
So I'm going to do a same game parlay. I'm going to take the money line with Edmonton, game 1. I'm going to have Leon Draisaitl having 3+ shots on net.
That's very believable.
Mm-hmm. As well as McDavid with 2+ points.
Makes sense as well.
Mm-hmm. So that's game 1.
Okay.
And those are my picks. So.
All right. Well, we'll see how you do, and we'll see if Bob comes through.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bob's been spot on.
He's been good.
He's been good. But so has McDavid and Draisaitl. So
they have. That's a good play. That's a good play.
It's going to be a battle.
All right.
All right. Let's see. All right, Nas. Episode 160. We're ready.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Welcome back. I'm Riley Cote.
And I'm Derek Suttlemeyer. And this week, Riggs, got a special guest.
We do.
Currently an analyst for ESPN. One of my favorite players to watch over the years. I got to work with him a little bit. He's usually throwing a dagger in us as a New York Ranger, probably as Tampa Bay Lightning as well. But former 4th round pick, 127th overall of the New York Rangers. Team you know a little bit about.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ryan Callahan. Callie, what is up, brother?
What's going on, boys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, anytime. Love it.
So how is the broadcasting world? I know you're working for ESPN and you're doing a hell of a job there. You know, talk a little bit about all the work that goes into the media side of things.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Something I never thought while I was playing I'd get into. To be honest with you, I was the guy who hated having the media in the room, didn't really want to talk to the media. So if someone told me while I was playing, you're going to be doing this after, I would have said bullshit. There's no way. But kind of started actually when I made the World Cup team for the U.S. I ended up having hip surgery, so I didn't go. I was with Tampa at the time, and the NHL Network called and said, "Hey, do you want to do some coverage on the World Cup?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I don't know if I'm going to be good at it, if I'm going to like it." anything like that. So I just went in, did a couple of days there, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun watching the hockey, talking the game. And then kind of from there, it just evolved. I worked the NHL Network a couple of years when I retired, and then obviously ESPN got the gig 3 years ago now, and they called. And, to be able to work for ESPN, worldwide leader in sports, I jumped at that. And again, it's kind of just evolved with ESPN too. I've done a lot of studio work the first 2 years. Then this year they've kind of put me in the booth a ton, doing a lot of color. And it's a lot of work. You don't realize it, and like I said, when I played, you thought those guys just, went out at night, had a few drinks. It was pretty easy, but you definitely got to watch games all the time. You got to know what's going on in the league. I think the hardest part for me is how much I've only been out, 4 or 5 years now, and how much the league has turned over. It's just so many young guys now. So with guys getting called up and the younger guys having such big roles, you got to stay on top of it, or you get exposed pretty quickly on air if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. You do a great job, Callie. I will say this about 2016. I know you originally were on our roster, obviously, and you missed it because of that. Well, we missed you, buddy. We didn't do real well.
I know. Maybe it was a blessing that I missed that one. So.
Oh man, it was a lot of fun until you lose that first game, and then you're like, oh shit, there's a lot of pressure on the boys now. You got to play Canada, game 2. And things just didn't go our way. It sucked that way, but it was a lot of fun. We did have fun in 2010, however.
We did
in Vancouver. Just this short, man, of getting that gold, but that was one of my favorite years in hockey. We've talked about this before, and that 2 weeks there, man, being around you guys. I mean, what a team, first of all, and Christ, we didn't lose to the gold medal game. Riley's a Canadian, so they're going now. Kid, but it was just, that team was awesome. I remember I've told people a million stories from those 2 weeks, but I just remember you guys all saying on the bench, hey, we're gonna get one here, we're gonna get one, and if we didn't get one, tie the game up. It's just, I've never been that high, that excited when Zach scored the goal to tie the game. And then, a little bit later, just never felt so low until a little bit later in that year when we lost to the finals to Chicago. But I just wanted to ask you about you remembering that time in 2010 with that special team.
Yeah, a lot of people, that's probably one of my special moments in my career. There's no question. And as you said, we had a really close group that year. I don't know, however it worked, just the way we meshed together, right away. And having the Olympics in Vancouver as well, you guys know how great that city is. It's unbelievable. Then, turn it up, 20 notches because it's the Olympics. And, I remember just going to practice in the morning, and then after practice, you'd go out with your family or whatever. You'd go walk around town. Like Canada would win a bronze medal in some random sport. The bars would erupt. Everybody would be going crazy, and it was just a really cool experience. And as you said, in that gold medal game, I didn't play a ton. I was kind of on the team to penalty kill was basically my role. So that whole third period, I remember just sitting in the middle of the bench, and basically became a fan watching. And I think it was me, Witt, Bobby Ryan were kind of always in the middle of the bench watching together. And I remember when Zach scored that goal, we were celebrating like we just won. My helmet popped off. It was at center ice at one point. They had to go get it for me. And then being in that room, going into overtime, and just looking around, and I was basically a fan at that point. I'm just looking around like, man, I got a chance to win a gold medal here. This is pretty special, and an unbelievable feeling. And then I'm outside of the room, like I always go outside the room before you go on the ice for the period, a couple minutes before. And I remember I don't know if it was Torts or Wills walks up to me and said, "Hey, you and Chris Drury are going to be taking some of the defensive zone draws here in overtime." And I'll tell you what, my face went white. I think I couldn't feel my legs. I've been sitting on the bench,
paralyzed.
An hour and a half doing like air squats, panicking. But it was a great experience. I mean, so many good stories came out of that those 2 weeks, and as you said, really disappointed, but. Took me about a month, 2 months later, you realize you got a silver medal. It's pretty, that's pretty special. And now having 3 kids of my own to be able to show them the medal and things like that, you appreciate it, right? It's a little bit different than losing in the finals, as you mentioned, right? Obviously I did that against Chicago as well in 15. You got nothing to show for that. That's that still sits with you. That's something I think about all the time. But yeah, those 2 weeks were awesome. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a great time. I had told the story before. I won't make it too long, but I just remember, like, I knew Torts a little bit because I had done a couple things with him, and we could talk about Torts here in a minute. But I'll never forget. I think it was game 1, and Wills has fucking Phil the Thrill out. We're up 2-1, I think. And long story short, Torts has got you by the back of the jersey, and he's like, almost pulling you off the bench, going, "Get him out! What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like looking at guys, and you're like, Jesus! I can just tell you're like, "What are you doing, man?"
Yeah.
It's like, we're good. He's like, "No, we're not. Get him off the fuck. Get this guy out there." And I'm like, "Is this really happening right now?" Like these two coaches, but they're buddies, right? And he was right. Like we needed.
Yeah, right.
Callie probably should have been out there in that situation, but I just thought that was so funny, and I'm like, oh boy. It's going to be a long couple of weeks. These two going at it like that.
Yeah, I remember that story exactly. And it's funny. I mean, I basically made the team because of Torts, right? His endorsement of me and the way I could penalty kill, being out there late in games, defensive. Me and Chris Drury penalty killed all year together and the year before. So we were always matched up together. But Torts, I remember that exact moment, and I just wanted to crawl into a hole, right? I'm like, Torts, like this is so embarrassing. Like this is the worst, And he'd yell at me too. Like I'd be stuck at the end of the bench, and he'd come down and be like, "Callie, get to the middle of the bench. You can't see you. Get to the middle of the bench. You can't see you. Like he's not playing you." I'm like, Torts, like, what do you want me to do? Like, it's It's embarrassing, but
embarrassing.
It's good though. I mean, that's Torts, right? He cares and.
Yeah,
like I said, he was probably one of the main reasons why I ended up making that team. But yeah, those are some funny stories, and I just remember, man, this is what is happening right now. The boys, you got Bugsy, you got Witt, those guys, and they're giving it to me, right? Like, get to the middle. I'm like, God, this is too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I thought that was great. It was so funny. So you're drafted, you're taken in the 4th round by the Rangers. You didn't spend too much time in the American League. You end up with six seasons with the Rangers before you got traded, but you were named the captain in 2011. Like what was, I mean, this is a dumb question, but what was that like for such a storied franchise and 5th youngest in the team's history as well?
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, it's hard to put into words like your emotions when that happens. Obviously, Drury left that summer, so you knew they're going to name a new captain. But even when you don't think it's going to be you know what I mean? You're a leader in the room. I was going through contract negotiations that summer as well. And, in New York fashion, nothing's easy to try to figure out a deal there. So we were going back and forth and about to go to arbitration. And I remember standing in my house and Torts calls me and Torts is like, "Hey, Glenn wanted me to call you and see if you would take this offer." And I'm like, "Well, no, I'm not going to take that offer." And he's like, "I wouldn't take that offer either. But the reason I really wanted to call was you better figure out a deal pretty fucking quick because you're going to be named captain next year." So I was like, wow. Holy cow, right? So I'm like, blown away. And then me and Torts, had, a 10-minute conversation about it, everything else. But to have that C on that sweater, I think getting the phone call was special, but walking into a room and seeing that C on there and your name's on the back, your number, such a historic franchise. Those fans are awesome. The Garden, it was pretty special. Yeah, it was. It meant a lot to me. Absolutely.
That's still that building's my favorite. Like I just even before they had redone it, something about that building, man.
Yeah.
I just loved it. But I do have one question though. After your name, Cap, did he scratch you right after?
I didn't get scratched.
Poor Coots. We actually have Coots coming on later. He's coming over. So yeah, as long as you didn't get scratched right after.
Yeah, I avoided the scratch, thankfully.
Good. Oh man, that's
we'll talk about your relationship with Torts. I mean, obviously he's a decorated guy, and it seems like everyone we talk to enjoys playing for him. He's wears his heart in his sleeve. I mean, maybe talk a little bit about your relationship with him and how he was as a head coach.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, I think for the type of player I was, right, he was a perfect coach for me. If you work hard for him, you lay it on the line. You stay within the system, you do what you're supposed to do. He rewards you. He doesn't care about, and as you guys know as you talk about, it doesn't matter what name's on the back of the jerseys. If you're performing and doing what you want to do, it doesn't matter how much money you make. So, as a young guy, when Tom Rennie got fired and he came in, I think it was huge just for my career because, he saw right away. And I think a big part of it actually had to do too with, and I'd be remiss not to say it, is Jim Schoenfeld. I had Shoney in Hartford who, kind of taught me that way a little bit. And him and Torts were very, very close. So I know that, Shoney was in Torts' ear and saying, got to watch, the Callahan kid or whatever. So Torts came in and gave me an opportunity right away. So I owe a lot to that. And then, I think as we evolved and as that team kind of grew an identity under Torts, it kind of became the black and blue shirts or whatever they used to call us. But he has a way of making you buy in, right? And if you don't buy in, you're not going to play. So he has a way of weeding those guys out that aren't going to play that style. He has that core that is willing to play that way. And all of a sudden you start to have success, and, nobody buys in more than when you're winning. And we had some teams that were winning, right? And there's times you want to kill them. You want to rip his head off. You motherfuck him. You're yelling at him. There's times like that. But, he says it. He's like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to make you better. And, you'd have your blowouts, but right afterwards, what I respected the most, it's honesty. You don't have to agree with what he's saying, but at least he's being honest. It's at the end of the day, I think you get some situations where people aren't being honest. That's when it bugs you. They blowing smoke up here, whatever. But with him, he's honest. And like I said, at the end of the day, you got to respect that. And I love playing in front of me. Like you said, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He cares. He's passionate. And I love to see what he's doing in Philly right now too. I mean, the boys look good, playing well, speeding up that rebuild and everything that's going on there. So I'm not surprised. I love playing under him.
Yeah, that's great insight. Yeah. And then as far as like shelf life, a guy that presses that hard, he squeezes out the guys that, don't belong or are not going to subscribe to his system and style. But it seems like he has a shelf life that's some bit, small where guys, I don't say tune him out, but like, I don't know if the voice gets stale. Can you maybe, I don't know if you experienced that in New York there, but you've seen that in Vancouver. You've seen this in some other places. Can you talk about that at all from experience or just from what you witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to, I think the players have the power, right? At the end of the day, and it's a lot of times it's the guys with the big contracts that have a lot of the power and can determine on, whatever, if they're going to listen to the coach or not at the end of the day, right? So eventually I think it happens to every coach is your message starts to get stale. You start to, your buttons you always want to try to push that make players better, they just don't work anymore, right? Guys are, sick of having that button pushed. So I think that happens with every coach, and, I think Torts as well. I mean, he's not immune to that, and I think his style and the way he coaches and how intense he is, some guys don't like that and can't handle that, right? And so I think that's part of it. But yeah, I think it happens to every coach, and in some coaches it happens faster just because they're approaching the way they are. And I think Torts maybe is one of those guys that it could happen faster because, how hard and how intense he is. And, sometimes those buttons aren't very pushed. But one thing about him too that I think a lot of people don't realize is how much he coaches the individual athlete and how much he'll handle each guy differently. I think he's really good at reading personalities and what gets the best out of guys. Like I was the type of guy that, I like to get yelled at, screamed at, I want to go out there and prove you wrong. And there's other guys that aren't like that where you kind of have to coddle, right? And be positive with. And I think he does a good job of realizing what guys do that and how to push those buttons.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, and Riley, that's a good question. But I remember when Peter Laviolette came into Philly, he loved you. Like he was a big guy that supported you. But he said to me that like once we got into the office there and he was like kind of setting it up, he's like, all right, Nass, he goes, probably in 3, maybe 4 years, you'll be taking all this down. That's usually where, I'm usually 3 to 4 years in. Fuck, he was on too. It was like 3 years, but it's funny. Like, I guess as a coach, especially these days, the older you are, you kind of know that. But
there's definitely, right, when you look at the amount of coaching changes that have happened in the past, 24 months, 12 months, right? Like, I mean, it's almost getting shorter for these coaches, which is wild to even think about,
Ditch the meal planning woes and dive into HelloFresh's biggest menu yet, with over 50 recipes and even more market items to choose from every single week.
And Riles, I'm not sure if you're aware, but if you sign up today, you'll unlock free appetizers for life. That way you can get the party started or enjoy a little pre-dinner treat with an appetizer of your choice in every HelloFresh box for free.
Oh, Nas, I know you love your appetizers.
I do.
Digging into anything good lately?
Oh, well, you know what my go-to is right now.
What do you got?
You don't know?
Shepherd's pie?
No, I'm not. I haven't been into the shepherd's pie, but the pulled pork.
Oh.
It's a staple. It's a staple for the kid right now, and I look like I know what I'm doing.
You do.
No one knows. I put it on the plate afterwards. Just
take all the credit.
Look like, oh yeah, take the creds. I have to take them. So Riles, go to HelloFresh.com/NastyApps for free appetizers for life. One appetizer item per box while subscription is active. That's free appetizers for life at HelloFresh.com/NastyApps. That's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Well, then you got a guy like Coop, who you played for, I believe, about 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Who's, I don't know how many years now he's been there, but he's been there, from the minor leagues and, helped build out that organization there. That doesn't happen very often either, right? I mean, a guy that be able to sustain his job like that, and obviously a respected coach. Maybe talk a little bit about, Coop, since we're talking about coaching.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're right. Yeah, Coop's approach is different, right? I think he's one of the more, he communicates and things like that, but you never hear him really yelling and screaming, anything like that. The thing about Coop, a good story about him is, so I get traded from New York to Tampa. So I got traded whatever, noon, 2:00. I'm on a flight at 7, flying to Tampa. I get into Tampa probably about 10:30ish, whatever it was, and I'm going down to baggage claim looking for my driver. I'm expecting New York style guy standing there with my name on it or whatever, and Jon Cooper standing there 10:30 at night waiting for me. So I'm like, holy cow! Not too many head coaches are there at 10:30 at night waiting for a guy you just traded for. So he hopped in his car. We had a long conversation. He brought me to the rink. Dropped my gear off. We talked for a while in the car ride. Dropped me off my hotel. So that's just like a glimpse of what he's like. You know what I mean? And they've had some really good teams there. He's a very intelligent coach. I mean, his X's and O's and his changing within a game, within a series. He's very, very intelligent coach in that manner. But yeah, he was a lot of fun to play for. He was great. Easy to talk to, great guy. So it was fun. And then funny story too, we're at the rink and we're in the room. He's like, tomorrow night, first game, he's like, you're going to be playing with Filppula. And then this young kid, Nikita Kucherov, we think he's going to be a really good player. A lot of high hope for him. He's a really high skilled player. And at the time, like, oh, okay, he's got to be skilled. I wonder, but now fast forward, look at Kuch. So.
No doubt.
He's not bad.
He's not bad. Yeah. Prove to
okay,
right.
So you're saying Coop could scout too?
Yeah. Exactly. And that was part of the reason too. Is so you're right. He was in, I believe it was Norfolk with all those guys.
That's right.
Johnson, Palat, all those guys, Killorn.
Right.
And they won there, and then that kind of core came up. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to stay in Tampa so bad is my agent was pushing me, get to free agency after going through that disaster in New York of contract negotiations. He's like, let's get to free agency. And I was like, no, I want to stay in Tampa. We have an unbelievable team. We got a chance to win. I'm walking to the rink in shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops. I'm not leaving this place, So I ended up signing with them right after that year was done. But yeah, they got something special going down there in Tampa. Owner Jeff Finnick is best owner in sports, I think. I mean,
wow.
The way he handles that team and the support he gives them. When I got traded, he called me too. He said, I don't really get called from the owner as well, and he calls and he's like, I apologize. I know you're very busy. I don't want to take up your time. I'm like, really owner of the team.
Right.
He's finding my paychecks. You can take all the time you want, but this is the kind of guy he is. And Tampa's got a great thing going there.
Yeah, they did a hell of a job. Going back to, as you mentioned, when Coop was in Norfolk, just the drafts and just the way they scouted and brought and found these diamond in the rough players and just built this core group of guys that is obviously still a large chunk of that team. So it's it's amazing to watch and to see it. When I was coaching the Flyers minor league team, the Phantoms at the time, and just how many games did they win in a row? Like that
they
Norfolk
set the
team,
record.
I think they set the
Yeah.
record like 26, 27.
Past your year when the lockout year
it was,
when we had,
17, so they blew that out of the water, and they were just unstoppable.
Yeah.
And then more than half those guys go on. I mean, you go back to even Radko Gudas. Like he was there. It's pretty wild. So so I can see how he's still in the mix there because he was part of cultivating that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That culture there. So pretty interesting stuff. What do you got now?
Well, I was gonna say like he brought up Kucherov. Obviously, it's ridiculous. I remember one night I was like kind of watching him, and he almost looks like he's kind of floating. But then if he sees a chance, like it's like boom,
shark.
And and I just remember I don't remember who I was on the bench when I'm like, this guy's got 3 points as the first period. He looked like he hasn't broken a sweat. Like what the fuck?
It's like the All-Star game?
Yeah, it was like an All-Star. Yeah, this year was All-Star. The challenge, the skills. No, but like obviously, like I'm not saying he doesn't play hard. He obviously plays hard, but it was just he's so skilled and gifted, like you said, man. It's like he sees those chances and like he reads them ahead, maybe of other guys. I don't know,
that's
but
the gift.
like he's obviously a special player. And you
play,
right? You're like that in men's league.
Oh yeah. I'm a shark in men's league. Yeah.
All leagues lead to men's league, Callie. We can fly in because we lost the championship this year. We didn't even make it to the championship this year. Riggs was on the IR. So no, but speaking of Kucherov and like I was going to bring up Stammer, like playing with a guy like that, and he's a hell of a player as well. Still putting pucks in the net. Not to say I don't want to say he's old, but he's been around. He's getting up there, but man, he's still performing.
Yeah, no, he is. Stammer's great. I mean, he's awesome. Close friend. He's one of the guys that I got really close to when I was there in Tampa. We did a lot of rehabs together as well, which made us pretty tight. And what impresses me about Stammer is, watching him through those rehabs, everything that he went through. I mean, he dealt with some big injuries, his knees, the meniscus, he missed basically the whole year with that, the blood clot he had. Obviously, before I was there, the rod in his leg. When he hit that post, he missed the Olympics that year because of it.
That's right.
And him working through all that and then still coming out the other side of it. And arguably, this might have been 2 or 3 of his most productive years he's had in the league, right? These last couple of years after these injuries, he's been healthy. He's played almost every game. So it's not like health is a thing anymore. And even watching the playoffs this year, I thought Stammer was the best player on that team, the way he was going. So, he's a special player, and I hope he gets back in Tampa. I mean, I don't know anything inside or anything like that, but it'd be a shame if they don't find a way to sign him. Everything he's brought to that organization from the days where it was a complete disaster, when he first got, to winning 2 Stanley Cups, captain of the team, face of the franchise. It'd be a shame if they don't find a way to sign him. But
I agree.
I'm talking about a guy like Cooch, and you're right. He doesn't do it like a McDavid does it or a McKinnon, right, where they're come flying at you with this speed and strength. He does. He almost floats out there, and he's got like this swagger to him that he's just kind of always just like his shoulders are always bobbing, and he gets the puck. He almost reminds me a little bit like of a Patrick Kane in that like he gets that. You don't know when he's going to shoot it. He's kind of his vision's really good vision that he doesn't get credit for. Sees the ice well. But and you brought up the All-Star game. I loved it. I thought it was so because that's Cooch. He doesn't, he don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure he started buying into it. As soon as they started booing, he's probably like,
he's loving it.
Yeah.
That's it, right? He's laughing about it. I can guarantee you he's, dying laughing about it. So, he's a good dude as well. But I was watching it at home here and I was dying, right? Because that's good. Like, there he is. It's awesome.
There he is, the
ultimate troll right now.
You talk about Stammer going through some injuries. I was going to bring up quickly in the playoffs when you had the emergency appendectomy and you played 5 days later. That's a hockey player. Like, that's wild. I mean, you had other injuries as well, obviously, but like that was wild. I remember that. I'm like, oh my God, like that had to be pretty scary for you if you didn't know exactly what it was, like when it came up.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, we were in between Game 5 and Game 6 of the Montreal series in the second round. Yeah. Kind of all day, just like had a stomach ache or whatever. I had no appetite, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. And then I was actually giving the kids a bath my young kids, and I started really hurting. So I called our trainer, Molly, and I'm like, hey, Molly, like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I got, stomach bug or whatever. He's like, well, where's it hurt? And I kind of told him, he's like, yeah, all right. He's like, lay down on the ground, push on the spot and then release up quick. So I'm like, all right, I don't even know what he's, trying to figure out here. So I do it. He's like, does it hurt? I'm like, that hurts. He's like, when you released or push? I'm like, when I release, he's like, shit. He goes, that's your appendix. He goes, got to get to the hospital. I'm like, come on. Like, So I luckily I lived on, I don't know if you like Davis Island, the hospital right basically on that island. So I was there in 2 minutes, get to the hospital. They take me right in, start doing scans or whatever. And they're like, hey, you got to have your appendix out. Hopefully it didn't burst, which it didn't. So I could just do it laparoscopically or whatever, quick procedure. But I remember I was sitting there before I even got surgery, it was on Twitter. Like Callahan had it, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell? Like,
How do they know?
He's like, there's a mole in the hospital that's just let it out, or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, so we went up winning game 6. Then 2 or 3 days later, we had game 1 against the Rangers. And I mean, there's no way I wasn't going to be in the
I was going to say that's,
and it's funny, some of the guys in New York told me the story. They're in the training room, and a couple of the guys I didn't play with, like, Kelly had an appendectomy. He's probably going to be out for game 1. And the guys are telling me that I played like, he's not going to be out for game 1. He's going to play game 1. He's not missing this game in this series. He'll be out there. But
and you guys beat him in 7, right?
We beat him in 7 at the Garden. Yeah, that was cool. That was
cool. Yeah.
Talk about one win, especially that was probably my my greatest moment. Like best win I had was. Because I had the whole story going into Game 7. Lundqvist can't be beat. Game 7 at home. The Rangers can't be beat. And that was part of some of those Game 7s that we won at home. So to go into that building and and get that win, it was special.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. Jeez,
obviously
justice.
Exactly. Obviously, you've been watching the playoffs. Maybe shift gears here a little bit about just kind of talk. Well, maybe start at the finals here and maybe work backwards. But hell of a finals.
Yeah, awesome,
amazing,
unreal. Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I don't know if you could have picked better teams to be in the finals, right?
I know.
And I've been so impressed with Florida and the way they've played throughout these finals or throughout these playoffs. And I mean, the way they're built. I covered a lot of their games, in that first and second round, and talking to, I never had much interaction with Paul Maurice, but talking to him, he is such, I don't know if you guys have or not, but such an intelligent hockey mind. He talks to the media, and a lot of coaches will talk for 2 to 3 minutes, especially in the playoffs, right? Not much given, but he'd sit there for 10, 15 minutes with us and just talk the game and how he thinks, how he's seeing it. It's impressive. And then just the way they're built, they come at you. They come at you fast, at you hard. Bobrovsky's playing good. That's going to be a very tough team to beat, and they're probably my pick in the finals. But then you look at Edmonton, and I've been shocked how well they've been able to defend. Right? Like, I don't know where it came from. Right? All of a sudden in the playoffs, they've realized that. But oh my God, we actually do have to play defense to win hockey games, and they've done it. Right? And it's I've been very impressed by that. And anytime you have McDavid, Draisaitl on your team, they're game breakers, right? You have a chance. I think goaltending makes me a little bit nervous, but Skinner's answered the bell these last couple of games as well, right? Mm-hmm. Especially last game against Dallas where they threw everything they could at him, and he only lets, I can't remember how many let in that game, but he played well, right? So it'll be an interesting final. It definitely will. I'm excited for it, but I think if I had to pick, I think Florida, just how deep they are, how they attack, they can defend. I just don't see a weakness on their team. But with that being said, I mean, I also thought same thing about Dallas and Edmonton, had their way with Dallas pretty good, which surprised me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was talking to Riley about their team defense, and obviously Kris Knoblauch coming in there. I mean, his record, I don't know the exact number, but he's done a fantastic job. I guess you got to give Paul Coffey some credit too. But but I had said to Riles a few weeks ago, I'm just like, I was watching Edmonton last night, and it's like their units of 5, like everyone's back. Like everything's from the outside. Like the shots are, the teams were getting. I just felt, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this with them. I mean, everybody's back.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's hard to, you don't want to bet against Connor McDavid, but I just feel I'm with you with the Florida, and I think Riley is as well.
Yeah.
They're a big, strong team. Barkov, if anyone could, I don't want to say shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. You can't get in the box, right? Like you cannot get in the box against this team.
That's the biggest thing. And everybody talks about Florida too, and how they like the scrums and how physical. They actually don't take a lot of penalties. And if you've watched through these playoffs, they've stayed out of the scrums pretty well. They're not doing a ton after the whistle. So they're going to have to stay with that, obviously. And I'm sure Edmonton's going to have, Kane, Perry, guys that
Worm's going to be in there.
Buy into that stuff. The Worm's going to be effective in this series. There's no question. So it'll be interesting to see. It will.
I kind of chuckled the other night. I was saying, like, this is probably you're exactly right too, though. Like, they have stayed out of the box, they've stayed out of the scrums, but it's probably killing Matthew Tkachuk. He just wants to get right in there. He's itching to get in there and just do something. And Nick Cousins, he's kind of been out of the lineup, but Cuzzy, like we had Nick Cousins here a few years, and he is just a shit disturber. That guy's one of the best.
Stir it up.
Oh, he has guys wanting to kill him all the time. But I agree with you. What did you think quickly about the Rangers 5-on-5 there? They had a tough time against Florida. And I know we were just talking about how well Florida's playing, and Barkov shut down every big-time player that he's gone head-to-head against in the playoffs. We mentioned that in the pre. But, man, like, they're big guys kind of – well, Panarin didn't score. He went 8 games until the last game, and even Zibanejad had a tough time. What did you think? What do you think it's going to take for the Rangers to get over that hump, or if they can? Yeah, they have the goaltending, right?
I mean, that series could have been over in 4 if it wasn't for Shesterkin, right? I mean, the way he played was unbelievable. Yeah. I think it comes down to your top guys got to put the puck in the net. They got to produce, right? Their bottom 6 won them a couple games. Gaudreau had that huge game. Lafreniere was unbelievable, and I wouldn't consider him a bottom 6 player, but he was unreal, right? He's kind of one of those support players. I think that was his coming out party in these playoffs. He had a good regular season, but it comes down to, I think, your top players producing a bit. I mean, they're, Zibanejad, I don't think had any goals. Kreider maybe had the 1 goal there. And you talked about Panarin. So, do they try to add to that scoring punch? Another dynamic, another scoring winger. I think, to play with Zibanejad, I think is something they could definitely use. Those aren't easy to come by, though, so, how hard is that to find sometimes? I think that's the story for them is, how can you find a little bit more offense in those games, in those situations when everything tightens up? You guys know how hard it is in the playoffs to score, and ice is small, and, bounce here, bounce there, things can change. But I think it's a shame for the Rangers with the way Shesterkin was playing. I mean, you had an opportunity there, right? And not capitalize on that. That's going to be a tough one, but you're right. And, Florida did a good job defending them. They did. I mean, you got to give credit to Florida as well, but they got to find a way to get more offense, when it's crunch time like that.
Yeah. Speaking of the Rangers, I got to go backwards a little bit. I just wanted to ask you, like, you were obviously in New York for 6 years. You're a captain. The rivalry with the Flyers. Yeah. I was watching, something popped up on my feed the other day, and it actually made me go back and watch a couple episodes of the 24/7 that they did following you guys.
Those are awesome.
I was texting with Scotty Arniel, and I'm like, because I sent him a quick video because he's doing something stupid, and I was like, man, I just watched like 2 episodes of this, and man, I just like, it was so much fun, man. But you guys got the win at the end of the day for that one game. But do you have any cool memories from that whole, like that time when we did with the outdoor game?
That was cool. That was awesome. Like having the camera, like going into it, I didn't know what, and as I said before, I wasn't a huge media fan. So to have the cameras around, I'm like, man, like this is going to be a lot. But you kind of saw that first episode come out and what they did with it. And you're like, oh, this is really cool. I loved watching them. Probably the coolest moment, which I still have because it's part of the thing, is played in Buffalo, which is, right up the street from me, and my grandma, who's 108 years old, still alive right now.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Yeah. That's so 108. Awesome. And at the time, she had to be, how many years ago? Subtract that. I can't. Yeah. 96.
Whatever. Yeah, 96 or whatever it was. So she came to the game, and there's video of me coming up afterwards, saying hi to her and talking to her. And, she talks about, she's like, I would have went down there on the ice and got him if I could, so like, it's always that, I always have that video, my moment with her and stuff. I think that's probably what I take out of that the most. But yeah, that whole hype leading up to it, it was unreal, right? And then the game was great game. It was wild. I'm still pissed I got called for diving on the 6-on-5 going for an empty netter, which power play, I'm still pissed off about that. I got to find out who the ref was actually and have a conversation with them. I don't know.
I don't even remember who that was. I have to go back. I don't remember the refs.
I remember we were 6-on-5, and then we got a coincidental hook and a diving, so that it went to 4-on-5 or whatever. But you guys actually had a power play then, like it actually it's like a normal power play, and then couldn't end it better with the penalty shot and like.
Well, it could have ended better for us.
Yeah, right. You guys probably should have won. You guys were at home, right? The building would have went nuts.
It was funny the day before, Callie. I'm sure you do this, but the Flyers and the Rangers, the alumni teams, like guys played, and they had all the big boys coming. They even had Bernie in net for like 10 minutes, and Ron Duguay got a breakaway. And I just remember, like, I don't know Ron Duguay. I've met him, but I don't know him. And he shot it off Bernie's pads. Sorry, Bernie, like take that save away. But he made the save, but like it was such a classy move.
That is classy.
For him to do that and the play standing and he made his way off. He made his way off the ice, but you got to give Bernie credit for even standing in there. But that was really cool. And they sold that game out. Then we had the game of the Rangers and Flyers sold out. Then the next day the Phantoms played Hershey, sold out. Three straight nights. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But that was really cool leading up and watching those. I just thought that was so much fun. And we had Briz, and Briz was just a beauty. The whole thing, man.
The whole universe and everything else.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they asked him.
They're asking the right questions.
He's actually. They
did their research.
They did. There's a video, Callie, of him. He actually, after all that, he ended up going somewhere. Was it Florida, NASA? And they like tried to put him in he's 6'3". Yeah. And they tried to put him in and it was too small. He got stuck in the damn thing. And he was freaking the fuck out. Couldn't get it off. That's this whole video. It's pretty funny. But anyway, I just want to ask you about that. I will say this. His first hat trick was against the Flyers. Not just a hattie, but 4 G-notes. Back in 2011.
The Flyers, actually, I think the Flyers have had the most goals in my career against. So it's one of those teams that, you have those teams where like for some reason the puck goes in the net, so.
Yeah, for sure. But I love the rivalry with the Rangers and the Flyers. I always did. Obviously, there's one with Pittsburgh as well. But
and then one that you guys beat us the last game of the season to go to this year. You guys went to the finals, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
it was
in a shootout. Yep.
In the shootout, man. Can you imagine if it goes the other way? Like we look back to Callie. It's funny you brought that up because like you look at the roster we had as the Flyers. Like how are we just trying to get in on the last day with that team? We had Pronger, we had Keeper, we had Matty Carl, Coburn. Our top 4D were pretty fucking legit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, march your way to the finals. Yeah. I mean,
and then you go to the finals. Like we barely made the playoffs.
Yeah. We had a few dry spells that year.
Yeah. A couple. Well, that was they made the change too with Johnny and Lavi. Lavi came in
juggling.
Obviously. Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right, Nast. We're in the NHL finals, NBA finals. Big NBA guy.
Yes.
If you were going to a game, NHL, NBA, where would you get your tickets?
Well, I'd be going to the Game Time app.
Of course you would.
It's easy. It's easy to navigate through. And as the game gets closer to tip-off or puck drop, more deals seem to jump up. It's honestly one of the greatest places you can go for any concert, any game. Jump on the app. It's, like I said, easy to get through with the killer last-minute deals, all in prices. You get your views from your seat. When you're on the app, it takes the guesswork out of buying tickets for NBA, NHL, MLB, whatever it may be, concert. It's just the way to go.
It really is. Not to mention lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. Can you believe that, Nast?
I can believe it coming from Game Time. I love their lowest price guarantee, meaning on Game Time, they will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a better deal on another site, which you will not have to do because this is the place to go.
Save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats.
Okay, so guys, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NASTY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code NASTY, NASTY, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. You did some games in Vegas, didn't you, in the playoffs this year?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. How was it? I've been there as a equipment guy. It's like so awesome. It's like I think they're pumping oxygen in there like they do in the casinos, right? Because I'm always hyper anyway. I'm out of ridiculously hyper, but I love being there. Like I have this video. I don't know if I ever showed you, like during warmups, like I changed the guy's blades and I set them on the bench and they're moving.
Oh yeah,
because of the bass.
Yeah.
And the damn place is shaking. And then they line all the chicks up in the visiting end and they're dancing.
That place. I mean, that place is awesome, unreal.
Yeah,
they did a great
pretty
job.
loud, eh?
Right?
They
so
do,
loud.
they do,
They brought Vegas into the arena is what they did, right?
Yes.
It's just
they did.
Remember the first time we played there with Tampa? We were like 2 days before our game. We got there. We came from Colorado, and we had 3 guys not even play. The stomach bug came up.
Oh, yeah. Stomach bug.
Classic.
You kid, we're like, what's happening? The Vegas flu was real. I mean, that first year, the Vegas flu was real.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Hexy was the first year, and he did not want us to go there today. He did not. Yeah. He was so worried about the boys. Fly in day up? Well, we did. Not day up, but we flew in later in the day.
So we played Colorado. So the night before that in Arizona, I blew my shoulder out, went into the board. So I'm going to sling. I don't play the next night in Colorado. We're up on Colorado going to the third by like 3 goals or 3 or 4 goals. All of a sudden it's 3 goals, 2 goals. And we're on a flight to Vegas the next day, right? So I remember I'm in my sling in the room, and I run out, and you can picture Colorado, kind of that hallway and then the benches right there.
Yep.
The D are sitting there, and I'm yelling. I go, Hattie, wake up! We gotta go to Vegas. These boys gotta fucking blow this thing. So we end up holding on, and we win. We fly in. We had like 2 nights. It was fun. We had a good time.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man.
I will say this about Coop, going back to Coop quickly. A couple of years ago, remember I met up with Patty Big Rig, Patty Maroon, and Pears, and who's the big D man? Bogosian, sorry. Bogosian, and I went and met those guys for dinner, and then we went out and had a couple cocktails. We went over to McGillen's, and they have they're singing. Oh, Moose, Brian Elliott was with us too, and
karaoke.
A little karaoke.
Oh yeah.
But the funny thing was, I'm standing there. It's just us 5. I think it was 5 of us, and not a big deal. It's not even late. It's like 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, and I see Coop coming from upstairs. That the bar. I don't know if you've ever been there, Callie. Probably not. But anyway, I see him come downstairs, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, hey, Rig. Coach is coming. Is coming. He's like, oh, it's fine. Where is he? And he turns out and he goes, where's my shot, boys? Because he had just ordered. Big Rick ordered shots. Coop's like, give me one. He does a shot. He goes, all right, you guys, be smart. Patty, I don't know if you can. You guys take care of it, And I was just like, dude, they were vets. There were no kids there, and he's like,
and that's part of Coop. He respected, he respected the veterans, respected our time. He knew. That's part of it, right? Boys going out and having a good time. That's what brings teams together. I mean, I've never been on a successful team that didn't go out and party together. I'll tell you that. So,
100%.
You know what I mean? That's all part of it.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
He was
you gotta respect that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you just gotta pick your spots, right?
I mean, Patty goes, I'm gonna play 7 minutes.
Yeah,
Coop, I'll be fine.
Strong 7 minutes.
It'll be a hard 7, though.
Yeah.
It'll be a hard
7. Meaningful 7 for sure.
Meaningful 7 for sure. That's right.
Callie, you've played obviously with some amazing players, probably a ton of just, ultra character players. We always ask our guys, who are some of the funnest teammates you had, keeping the room light?
Yeah.
Having some fun, jokesters.
Yeah, my New York days, I'm close with him now. Dan Girardi, always, dry, sarcastic humor. You had to get his humor to think it was funny. One of those guys. He was in New York. Avery was another guy who was a character always in the room, right? You never knew what he was going to say.
Yeah.
He was always entertaining. And then I think, my Tampa days, it's tough to say who we had like as the jokester or the loud guy. We had our group in Tampa. We kind of all were just like, we all messed with each other. We all had fun together. We had a really good group of guys there. There wasn't one guy that kind of stuck out as, the guy. I think everybody just, enjoyed it. It had a lot of fun. It's crazy how much you forget too, right? After being out for 5 days, all the stories, all the guys. But yeah, I think in New York, I think G was one of those guys that definitely did that. And it was good. Good 2 teams to play for, a good group of guys.
Yeah.
Opportunity to play with the Jags too.
Yeah. That was cool. Really cool. Obviously watched him growing up when he was with Pittsburgh and winning the Cups and everything else. And I mean, just his presence, right? You walk into a room, you walk in a room and it's Jags, the young guy coming in, it was pretty impressive. And, I remember the one time he would wear like that old Jofa helmet in practice, no chin strap, he'd sit on the boards as they're drawing drills, like just the ultimate, like the vet, and
yeah, right.
One time he was drinking a water bottle and I come over and there's a tea bag like hanging out of it, and Jim Ramsey, our trainer, I'm like, what is this? He goes, Jags likes to drink hot tea during practice. I'm like, holy cow, like legend, bro.
I never saw that.
So he used to drink hot tea in New York like during practices. I'm like, man, this legend just keeps growing. But he was saying all that. Then he also would drive back to the rink at 45 minutes from the city when no one's around at 9 p.m. at night and skate and work out. And I mean, there's a reason why he was so good. So it was really cool. I got to play with him. Brendan Shanahan was my favorite player growing up. So I got to play with him in New York. I had a poster of him on my wall. So like just walking in and seeing him, you're starstruck. And I remember, he's like, hey, I'm Brendan. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. You're on my wall. I kept that in my back. I never told anybody that, obviously. But,
was that your welcome to the NHL moment? Was it like maybe seeing it? Like
I think so. Yeah, just being around them, just both those guys. You're just completely starstruck. It's legends of the game and cool guys too. Very, very, very cool guys.
Yeah, Callie, I did a World Cup. I did a few, but I think we're in Moscow, and no, I lie. I think we're in Latvia, and he was there playing for Team Canada. And I remember all of our guys were like, we had kind of bar hopped a little bit, and someone saw Shanny in the bar, and they're like, we gotta go do shots with Shanny. Like fucking Shanny. It's cheating. Everybody say it just Shanny, like Brendan Shanahan. And I'm like, maybe he don't want to do them with us because and we went in and he was like, yeah, boys. And it was like, that's pretty fucking cool. But it was just funny seeing the younger guys like want to go like say hey to Shanny and have a shot with Shanny.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And he was one of my favorite players too. I really liked the way he played the game.
Did a little bit of everything, score, fight, rough it up. I mean, awesome.
Awesome guy.
Wanted to ask you, kind of pivoting just a little bit. Scott Arniel was recently named head coach of the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, I think you maybe had him as an assistant coach.
I did, in New York.
In New York.
Yeah.
Is there anything you could say about Arniel? I mean, as far as coaching style, I mean, obviously he's been coaching for some time, but just curious on your insights.
Yeah, no, I think he'd be good. I mean, he was a guy who kind of was in control of our power play at the time. Assistant coach. Guy, you know how assistant coaches are, right? One of those assistant coaches you talk to, you throw shit at, easy to communicate with. How he is as a head coach, I don't know. You've seen that those guys change sometimes.
Right, that's true.
All of a sudden, it's not so friendly anymore. But
our buddy Kami had some interesting quotes about it.
Did he? Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed my time with Arnie. I mean, he was great with me. I mean, no issues at all. I thought he was easy to communicate with. Intelligent, but I mean, and that was, 10 years ago now. So it's, I don't know if he's changed at all as a person or as a coach or, how he'll be as a head coach, but I guess you got a little bit of a example of that when Bonesy was out, right? That personal matter or whatever. So, I think that probably was his audition and they did really well underneath him. So I'm sure that's part of the reason why he got named.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's good insight. Yeah, it's a little different animal when you're talking about assistant coach versus.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you see a lot of guys, definitely change
Yeah.
Right? Because all of a sudden now they got the power, and if they
Yeah.
can't deal with the power,
They got responsibility. Everything falls on them all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So
no doubt.
Sure.
But there's definitely been a few coaches. Chief probably being the biggest one that I could think of is had him as assistant coach, and then he transitions to head coach, and really I don't think he didn't change his personality by any means.
Right.
Obviously, the roles and the responsibilities change, but Chiefs is still the same guy, right?
Yeah.
He's still Chief. He could still have that almost assistant coach kind of conversation with him.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but great things about him. Yeah. I mean, obviously never played for him, but
Really good guy. Great guy.
Yeah, it's probably a tough thing to do to transition from assistant and head, maintain that level of communication, that that trust, I guess you could say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Got anything else, Nas?
That's it, man.
Awesome.
Just want to thank you again, Callie, for your time, bro.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I am shocked. I'm gonna say I'm shocked you're living up in Roch, though. I thought you would have stayed in that weather down in Tampa.
Yeah.
Although it's probably hot as shit in the summer. Like it's probably not as comfortable.
Not as great. Yeah, January, February though, I miss it. There's no question.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I go down and visit a lot during that time.
There you go. There you go.
Stay out of those northern New York winters. Man.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Winnipeg styles almost.
They're no joke. Yeah.
But thanks again, brother. You're doing a great job on ESPN. Anything you want to plug or that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I always like to plug a foundation that I have, Ryan Callahan Foundation.org, pediatric cancer. We support, just had our 10-year anniversary of it. So it's kind of the passion after the game and even during the game. I was lucky enough to start it in Tampa there. And we were in Tampa now. We're in Rochester here at home. So doing a lot of great things for pediatric cancer. So if you're interested, check it out. Take a look, see what we're doing. Donate.
Yeah, we'll throw that up for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome, brother. Well, man, you're a great dude, brother. I enjoyed the little bit of time we got to work together, and just you always coming and saying hi and all that stuff, man. Can't say a bad word about you, brother. And you're doing a great job on ESPN, like I said. So we appreciate you.
Awesome, boys. Thank you. Yeah, I wish we had time together. I wish I was in Philly maybe a year or two with you.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, man.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Brother.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, big thank you to Ryan Callahan for hopping on.
Yes, great guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Reason he had a letter on his jersey everywhere he played.
Yeah.
Even before he was a captain of the Rangers, he had an A on his jersey. And obviously you go down there with that group in Tampa, and he's got a letter on his jersey there as well. So great leader, great guy, and doing awesome.
Yeah.
Post-career with ESPN. He does a good job.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Great guy.
Appreciate you hopping on there, Callie.
Yep.
It's that time, Nas.
Don't tease me.
Oh, I'm not. I'm dead.
Is it
dead serious?
Dead serious?
Oh, yeah.
You're not yawning either.
I'm not.
Is it time for Clear Questions?
It's time.
Clear Questions brought to you by Clear Rum. Go to clearrum.com/shop. Type in Nasty 2023 and get 35% off of your order. PA residents only. It's delish and it's summery, and I'm putting it on ice and I'm putting a little fruit in it.
Creative.
I drink it. I get very creative. You need to get off the wags.
Stumble off.
Have just a couple by the pool with me. You won't regret it. Baller, what do you got?
Today we got Adrian Brown over on Facebook leading us off.
Brown dog.
If you could bring one player from the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2010 and put them on the current Flyers roster, who would it be and why?
I know I'm going with
Prong Daddy.
Chris Pronger. Just the way he played the game. If he's at where he was then, obviously, what a difference maker in the game. Playing 30 minutes, could have played more, and just, leader, great player, Hall of Fame player. I think I would have to go with him. As many good players as we had, like you forget about like Richie.
Yeah.
But not
even Chemo.
Yeah, Chemo. Lots of guys actually stick out. Danny B. But just because if you're better on D, you have a better chance of winning. So that's why I would say Pronger.
Yeah, and he obviously has the experience winning a cup and being in the finals, and just an all around leader, and I mean, digging in the trenches, hard to play against for so many reasons. That wingspan, blocking shots. I mean, just
and mean.
And mean. Yeah,
he was mean.
So I would say Prong Daddy too.
Yeah, great question.
No love for Ryan Parent.
Why you gotta
Bernie.
Jersey? Fucking Bernie. I love Bernie.
Oh, I love Bernie.
All right.
Rocking that wood stick.
Yeah.
Over on Twitter, Flyers fan 39. What are your thoughts on the stability of our blue line? Can Danny B safely rely on it as is with minimal changes, or focus on the offense? Also, either of you going to London for the Phils?
Well, first off, London, I wish I was, but I know if our buddies, our friends and fans of Philly, they may have already left. We should hit Joe up. They're probably in a pub right now in London as we speak.
So want to hop on a little puddle jumper and head over there?
Well, can we take your PJ?
Yeah,
Can we just go over?
May as well.
I wouldn't mind.
Sitting outside.
2 games, baller against the Mets. Yeah, no, I wish I was going, but I'm
it'd
not.
be nice.
I haven't been there in a long time. I haven't been there in a couple
Never
years.
been?
Yeah, it's cool. I've been there before. It was a lot of fun. But back to the first question on D. I'm not, man.
As long as they stay healthy, I think they.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but if you can ever improve your D,
You have to.
You always want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've talked about it a lot. Like Sandy had a good year. He really
Mm-hmm.
showed a lot. He ended up with a lot of ice time.
He did.
As basically your number one guy back there. I think Yorkie's getting better. I think he's improved a lot, but I think anytime you can make it better, you try to.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're in a rebuilding stage, and it'd be interesting. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were kind of talking about Sean Walker. If I don't want to say his stock has dropped, but I think it did when he went out to Colorado. I don't know how well things went for him there, but he could be an option. But as baller, we were just talking. It's a sticky situation if he does come back and underperforms, because he played really well while he was here. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think if you start with all defensemen healthy, it's not as bad as it looks on the last 10 15 games
Right.
or so. That being said, if they can find a piece or two to, I don't want to say patch holes, because that's what you kind of do
Right.
in a rebuild. Just upgrade maybe spots. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we forget about Risto.
5, 6,
Like,
and
he
7,
didn't play.
That's what I mean, right?
So
So
he's got to be healthy.
Those guys to fill the void aren't that easy to come by. They're actually going to be
Right.
impactful enough to make a difference, right? I mean, you see this happen a lot when you fill in a couple of these spots with older guys that, I don't know, you could argue maybe plopping a guy from the minor leagues up in there, but I don't think they're going to go guns a-blazing and sign some large free agent guy to fill that void. I think
Right.
if they can find a deal. I mean, like the Walker thing seems intriguing. If there's
Right.
some juice there, again, he proved he can play. It's just a matter of how
Right.
much you pay him for that level of play. But I know that they're always looking. I mean, there's never a time as general manager and organization they say that they're totally set, they're totally fine, especially in these situations, because you are slowly building, obviously, for the future, and you have to still find a way to win some games to try and create that culture of winning there too. So I think they'll do something. I'm just not sure it's going to be a huge splash, but I think again with the Risto and that decor being healthy and whole, it's not as bad as it appeared maybe in the last few games there. But
last couple weeks.
Maybe interesting how it plays out.
Yeah, it really will be. We'll see what Danny's got up his sleeve, especially with the draft coming up and everything.
I'm sure they're sniffing around for something.
Looming free agency.
Oh, it's looming.
July 1st. So
Moster27 over on Instagram wants to know, what's the best Zach Ronaldo story you got?
Jeez.
Oh, Reno. One that sticks out to me is obviously that camp he came to, and legitimately 3 hits, 3 guys out of the game, and then a knockout punch to poor David Lalibert. It's not a birthday.
Right in front of us.
Just because he came to the guy's defense after. Zach's like a shark. We talked about this before, the way he hit. Like, he just saw hits ahead of time, and he crushed guys, and they were all legal hits too.
They were, yeah.
That is when we've talked about this too. They stopped doing all the games because he literally took 3 guys out.
Oh yeah.
And then what really stuck out was that, but then him walking by my office and you were sitting in there with me where you were a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Hey, Cote, that was for you." It's before he knew you, but I thought that was really cool. Like,
oh yeah.
He loved it.
Couldn't get any closer to that fight too.
No, we were right there.
The fight just blew the guy up, and then poor Lally come in, and it felt like you had to step in and stick up for his teammate there. But obviously got mollywopped. Poor guy. I love Lally, but
Molly. Mollywopped. Oh, that's good.
So, but yeah, but there's how many other stories of Reno blowing guys up.
Yeah.
He was just a great guy, all around. I loved Reno's demeanor around the rink. He was just laid back and obviously
he was
preparing to kill guys.
Yeah,
legitimately.
And quickly, I think we told us we had Luch on, but when he looked over at him, says, "What the fuck are you looking at?" We were walking out, and I'm like, "What are you doing? I'm right beside you. I don't want this guy grabbing me." It was after a game we lost to Boston. It was actually his first NHL game, even though it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And
sounds about right.
We were walking out, and he just happened to be walking out with me. I'm going to the van to get in and leave, and Luch is just looking around. He's on his phone.
Yeah,
he kind of just looks over, sees us, and just kind of looks down, and Reno's like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" And he kind of looks over to make sure he's talking to him.
Yeah, right.
Like,
sure.
And I was like, I'm trying to run to get in the van so I don't get killed. But they ended up being teammates. We talked about that before, but that was another thing that sticks out with Reno. Great guy, though.
Didn't
Great
give
question.
A shit about that.
No, he didn't.
Mike Pohl 72 over on Twitter wants to know, if you're commissioner for one day, what is one thing you would do to improve the game?
Ooh, it's deep. Pull the instigator rule, Nasty.
Yeah, I think so too.
No, it's kind of joking, but kind of not. It'd be nice to open it up.
Yeah, I think so too.
But that being said, we live in a different era, and that will never happen. So it was just more of a, just a dream thrown out there. But
well, I agree with that. But I was going to say maybe adding a few minutes to overtime to 3-on-3.
I like
because I still think if you're going to do a shootout, that's fine. But an extra 5 minutes, probably the game will end.
I agree.
Because it comes so close, and it's exciting. 3-on-3 is exciting.
It's exciting.
And I feel like, I think you said before, I would rather lose on a hockey play than a shootout.
At least it's a coachable play.
Right.
Right? It's just to some degree.
Yeah.
It's a hockey play. I think it sits with you a little bit better than working your ass off for 65, potentially 70 minutes of hockey, and then going into a shootout and losing a game that way.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective, and even when I was on the coaching side of things, it was tough to lose games in a shootout.
Yeah.
So I agree with that one. That would be one that I would.
Yeah, I think that would be
too.
cool, because I think people still stay in their seats for 3-on-3.
Oh yeah, it's high energy and high creativity. You don't see that very very often, except for that obviously that 5 minutes every now and then. So extend that. I agree. I think the essence, the speed. And I have a hard time believing it would go an extra 5 fully.
I don't think it would either.
With the skill level and the opportunities that are generated.
All right. Well said, Commissioner Cote. Thanks for the question. Good question, actually. Really good question.
Greg Bond 822 over on Instagram. What's been your favorite Cup Final series to watch in the past 10 years?
They're always good. I love this time of year, but I think going back when Chemo won.
Yeah.
I think I was really into that one just because it was Chemo, and I'm always into all the series, everything, but that one's one that sticks out to me.
Mm-hmm. That one, and then when Chief took over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was, I would say, one of the first times I was really that engaged.
Yeah, I gotta admit that might that could be my answer. I just stole it, but him and both of those for sure. Yeah, Chief won. We were actually wearing the T-shirts, Play Gloria.
Yeah, we were pretty excited with that.
Yeah, we were.
Good question.
Yeah, very good question.
Philly John 18 over on Twitter. Who the hell are the goalies next year?
Oof.
You trying to get me to say something here? What are we doing? Well, as it looks right now, I'm assuming Fedotov's going to be here with Sam Ersson. I mean, I don't know what else you can say about it. I mean, I think those two at this point, you signed Fedotov, like, so he's here, and Samuel's still here, so, you know, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, unless something magical happens, you know, then that'd be some gravy sprinkled over the situation. But. Yeah,
exactly. So I guess we'll see when camp comes around if anything's happened with all the other stuff going on. But I would expect it to be those two for now.
I would think the same.
Today,
right this moment.
Yeah.
One final one from Brandon McComsey over on Instagram. Did either of you get the feeling that after Bob was traded, we were going to regret it?
Immediately? Could have saw that one coming, probably. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, when you trade a young goalie
that had, like, I mean, we talk about this all the time, you know, some of the Bob stories, the Snoop, but, you know, we laugh about it all, but, like, how dialed in this kid was. Like, right from the start, you could tell he was on the path to success based on how he was wired and how disciplined he was. So, I mean, when you see that, the sky's the limit, right? You just got to create the environment for him to just grow and blossom. And he obviously went in other places and did that. And here he is again in the finals and showing how elite he is.
Yeah. It's funny, like, even something like when he first got here, obviously he couldn't speak a lot of English, not much at all. He was not only working out twice a day, like you said, you could just see how this kid works his ass off. He was doing 2 lessons a day, like 2 different times during the day, English lessons, so he could communicate. And like, it was funny, like, I think we talked about this before, like, after his first day, like, you know, doing his English stuff, he came in and he was like so excited. He was like, "Good morning, Nasty." And it was like so exciting for him. Yeah. And I was like, "Good morning, Bob." Yeah. And he was like, "Okay." They're also good. But every day, like, he was like, man, he's like a smart guy, obviously. But the way he just, every little thing he did was, you know, he worked at it. And you kind of like, I remember Richie, I think we may have even talked about this a couple of weeks. I remember him one day, I think it was Lavi, like, something happened and Bob wasn't playing and Richie was like adamant. He's like, "This is our all-star fucking goalie." Like, this, like, I don't remember the exact situation. Richie may be able to remind me, but I just remember, like, man, you're like, the captain is like, "Hey, don't mess." I don't know exactly what it was. Again, I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact what was going on, but Richie was very adamant about Bob, and he loved Bob, and all the guys did.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't mean it like that no one else did, but you could just tell, like you said, he was dialed in, man, from day one. The day he walked in that building, and he's still dialed and looks great.
Yeah, no doubt.
It blows my mind away how these goalies like him and Jonathan Quick, how they still can move. They're hit, like, I don't understand how they can move like that. And, you know, Bob's not, I don't want to call him an old guy, but I mean, he's getting up there. He's been around a long time, and man, I guess it's from his work, and his work ethic,
his maintenance,
the prevention, you know, everything he does. Like, the guy jumped rope for like an hour.
Yeah,
like, it seems like a day, but all the stretching that's involved with all that. But yeah, like, you could kind of to answer the question. Sorry to run on, but you're almost like just in your head, like, wow, this could come back to bite us. But there was also circumstances that management was dealing with that they were kind of told what was going on. So
yeah, because obviously, you know, in Flyer land, like, that franchise goaltender, they were waiting a long time to find someone like that. And then again, you said the circumstances, you know, they were what they were. You move Bob and you sign Briz, and it appears that it was a minor mistake.
Well, they were together for the 1 year, and then Bob's just like, "Hey, like, I
if I'm not gonna play, I gotta roll." But hey, that's the business. The business. Yeah, I know, right? And obviously, management's always trying to make the team better by maybe adding a veteran guy and the whole bit, maybe support Bob. But Bob obviously believed, his agent believed that he was ready to be a number one at that time, and that's why guys go elsewhere. And it, you know, it's the nature of the beast.
happens.
he's,
It's not the only place it happens
exactly.
in. People,
That's right.
You know, but it does. It seems like every time we get rid of a guy, they go win somewhere. But, yeah, to answer the question, yeah, you could kind of feel it in your – could be a mistake. But,
yeah,
got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Great question. And that's a wrap.
That's it?
Clear questions in the books.
Boom.
160 in the books.
Wow, 160.
Have a hard time believing that.
Crazy.
Until next week for 161.
Okay.
Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, ask some questions, snoop around. Until then, stay safe, knuckleheads.
See ya.